So I don't know any better way to put this, so let me just say it directly. We are stopping uploads on Think Media. After talking to my family, after talking to the team, after a lot of processing and a lot of thought, this is the conclusion that we've come to. And so officially, we are stopping uploads on Think Media for the next 10 days. Okay, relax. I know that this kind of seemed a little clickbaity, but actually, this is a super important topic because in this episode of the Think Media podcast, I'm going to be talking about 4 reasons why rest and recovery is critical to your success as a content creator. And stick with me because I actually believe that this episode could save your life. No exaggeration. Let's get into it. All right, here's what's happening. So we're actually shutting down Think Media for an entire week. And when you add the weekends, that actually ends up being 10 days where we're not going to do any uploads on YouTube or across social media. And it's actually not that we couldn't do uploads because we do batch produce content. We do get ahead, but there's a few reasons why we've decided to do this. And so in this episode, I want to share 4 of those with you, mainly because I think there's a lot we can learn about longevity, about health. And I think that there's going to be nuggets for you that you can apply in your own YouTube business and as a content creator. Number 1 is rest and recovery are essential for peak performance. And so in sports, nobody questions the value of exercise training for optimal performance and improvement. In content creation, nobody questions putting in the work, putting in the hustle. You got to grind, you got to get the work done. I'm not talking about hustle culture, but I'm talking about hard work, like it's one of the requirements. However, rest and recovery, back to sports, is equally essential in any exercise program because it gives the body time to repair, rebuild, and strengthen itself between workouts. The notable difference between elite athletes and average athletes is not the quality of their training, it's the quality of their recovery and their rest. And so we've been trying to learn that lesson here at Think Media. And I was actually reading a quote from a book, The Athlete's Guide to Recovery, and it says, a decline in performance should lead to a search for its cause and a focus on the quality of your recovery. If for some reason you start to go down in performance, you start to decline, you start to have things suffer in your business or your channel, it could be an indication that it's time to rest, recover, so you can heal and get back to your A game. This is actually a faith move for us because here at Think Media, things are actually going really well. Things are growing. We have a lot of momentum, but we also want to stay at peak performance. And just because it feels like we're in this groove, we don't want to push ourselves too hard and miss out on the opportunity for rest and recovery. And so the action we decided to take was to give our entire team an entire paid week off in addition to their normal 2 weeks of vacation, in addition to the fact we take federal holidays off. You add up different sick days and things like that. This year, our team at Think Media is actually going to have a little over 6 weeks of time off. And just as a side note, this has been kind of one of our cultural goals. It hasn't been this way forever. This is the first year we're doing this Sabbath week thing, and we're going to see how it goes. But we're really excited about it because we always want to continue to steer our company culture towards our highest values. And this is a big move in that direction. Rest and recovery are an essential piece of peak performance. And we want to continue peak performance over the long haul here at Think Media. Number 2, YouTube is a marathon and not a sprint. Our company theme this year is built to last. A lot of people's business models, though, is built for burnout. I mean, it's kind of true. If you are running an unsustainable pace, the problem with that is that it's unsustainable. And ultimately, we should be asking the question, is what I'm doing right now something that I can keep up? Can I actually maintain this pace? Can I keep this thing going? You know, I've been impacted by the book, The Infinite Game by Sinek, which encourages leaders to shift from short-term thinking to infinite thinking. The objective is not to win the game. The objective is to keep playing. And in the book, they talk about finite games and infinite games. A game of chess, you're going to play it until you defeat the opponent. A game of sports, you're going to play the game until you defeat the opponent. One of the things and points he makes, though, is that this is actually a horrible way to run a business. I actually think this is a horrible way to run a YouTube channel, Because if you're just playing short term, like I want to defeat all opponents and I just want to win, well, what does winning even mean? Is winning a point in time, or is winning actually the ability to stay in the game? Because you can win one championship, but what happens if 10 years later, 20 years later, 30 years later, you never, quote unquote, win again? The better objective is to play an infinite game. And so at Think Media, as I've matured and grown as a leader, I'm asking myself, really, how can we just stay in business? Like, how can we keep paying our team, keep serving our customers, keep serving our listeners, keep serving our viewers? And if we have spurts of growth, great. If we even plateau a little bit, great. So long, though, as we can just keep playing the game, because we love doing this. We love creating content. We love marketing. We love building the business. We love serving people. We love events. We love writing books. We love creating content, all the different things that we get to do. We want to stay and play an infinite game. And if you burn out, you can't keep playing. If you destroy your brand, it's difficult or impossible to rebuild your brand. And so it's game over. And so we don't want to hear game over. We just want to stay in the infinite game. YouTube is a marathon and not a sprint. We don't want to be built to burn out. We want to be built to last. And so these are some of the questions we've been asking. How can we stay in the game, not just over a year, but over decades? Rest is going to be a big piece of that. How can we create here at Think Media a healthy pace? Rest is going to be a big piece of that. And I love this quote from Steve Jobs. This has influenced me a lot as a business owner over the years. I think this would be very encouraging to you as a content creator that's trying to break through the noise. Maybe you're trying to beat the competition. Not that it's a finite game, but you're trying to get ahead. You're feeling like the underdog in business. You feel like maybe it's hard to get your market share. It's hard to break through. Listen to what Steve Jobs said. He said, business is a game of attrition. Most people just fall off. If you just stand there long enough, then you actually will still be standing when everybody else is gone. The interesting thing is, if you have a long-term perspective, if you're playing an infinite and not a finite game, then you're not just trying to go viral this week. You're not just trying to like make this thing work and making short-term moves with short-term thinking in the next 365 days. The question really becomes, I don't care if I'm place 15. I don't care if I'm not even in the top 100. I don't care if I'm just building up my YouTube channel in obscurity and I'm unknown for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. If I can just work my way into a sustainable, healthy creator business, online business, and then just maintain that for the rest of my life, enjoying what I do with a sustainable pace. If I just keep standing and I'm able to persevere, most other people are going to disappear. That's what Steve had noticed as a business legend, was that, again, if you're just still standing. So why are we resting? Well, we want to play the infinite game, and we don't want to just have a sprint of success for a couple of years and then disappear. We want to play this for the long haul. So that's why we're choosing to do a Sabbath week here at Think Media. Number 3, creator economy businesses have unique advantages and benefits. So another reason why we want to do this is, like, what's the purpose of money anyways? What's the purpose of all the hard work we've put in? And at some point, I get it. You might also be saying, well, seems good for you, Sean. Like, I wish I could take a week off. You know, friend, honestly, I've been doing this for 7 years, 10 years before that. It took a long time to get to this point. I've had to put a lot of work in and a lot of patience and a lot of perseverance. And you never want to judge your season by somebody else's season. It took a long time to get here to have even this freedom and this opportunity. But it was also, once we got some momentum and got some money and had some savings and had some momentum and team and some automation, the question becomes, do you just keep pushing? What's the point? Like, do you push yourself to burnout or push yourself too hard, or just keep pushing when there is money in the bank account? You start asking, okay, if there's money in the bank account, but there's not health in my body and I'm still chasing money, I got my priorities wrong. If there's money in the bank account, but there's not health in my marriage, but I'm still chasing money, I got my priorities wrong. Now, you need money for the mission. Some people criticize chasing money to their detriment, and it's really an act of foolishness, because money is a tool. You got to support your family. You got to build your business. You got to have some margin. You got to have an emergency fund. But like, having all of these, what's the point of also the creator economy with the fact that YouTube's a search engine, you can rank videos, digital advertising, you can still run ads and have the leverage of having digital advertising on Meta and different platforms. And, as we take this Sabbath week, we're giving our team off, but there's still like a contractor here or there that's still working. They're maybe not like our core team. We're also going to keep our ads going because if you actually completely shut your ads off, it can kind of mess up your ad account and different things that can happen. So we're not like treating this in some kind of like a hyper religious, like weird way. So if you actually still see content from us, it's probably because of the power of these digital platforms. I mean, it's not like we're going to unlist and private our ranked videos. And so that is the advantage of the creator economy and creator businesses. Ranked videos, ranked products. I mean, people discover my book and buy my book just all the time, like just because it ranks on Amazon. And I want to encourage you. One of the reasons, depending on the season you're in, to keep hustling, to keep persevering, to keep putting in the work, and to create leverage, to purposefully invest in things like ranked videos, in things like a library of content that gets you views 24/7, into automated email sequences and building funnels, and into products that you can create once and so many times, is so that you can create a business around a lifestyle that is sustainable and that you love, and that can, give you peak happiness and create health for you and those around you and your team and whoever else you have a vision of creating an awesome culture for. The creator economy is incredible, and it offers many benefits. And so we want to take advantage of those benefits and practice what we preach. Again, we work really hard at Think Media, and I hope you know that that's also because we deeply value your time and your attention and the fact you'd even be a part of this podcast. And so we want to serve you. We want to give you the best content possible. But we also want to model what health to the best of our ability. We're on a mission to help 1 million purpose-driven people create a full-time living doing what they love while making a difference with YouTube in the world, and to experience that success without losing their soul. We sometimes don't say that last line, but it's very much a part of our company ethos. We want people to experience the success in the creator economy and YouTube without losing their soul. What does that mean? That would mean that if you climb the biggest mountain, but you sacrifice your family on the way, we think you did it wrong. If you climb the biggest mountain and you sacrifice your health, not just because something hits you, because that can just happen in life, but because you literally ground yourself to the bone and destroyed your health because of overwork and repetitive stress, things that I've done and mistakes I've done in the past, and I'm regaining my health because of the sheer hustle in my 20s. That's probably one of the biggest things that I've neglected in my 20s. Was I was working at a computer for so long and not actually doing strength training and other things that gave me chronic pain in my hands and my arms that, thank God, I'm actually recovering from as I create more margin, invest in my health, create a better pace. And so number 3, creator economy businesses have unique advantages and benefits. And then number 4, my checkbook and my calendar should reflect my values and my priorities. Does your checkbook and does your calendar reflect your values and your priorities? Now, it's one thing to write down a value. It's one thing for me to write down that I value family. It's a whole nother thing to have the humility to allow a third party to audit your checkbook and your calendar. Now, there's probably nobody that's going to do that. But if somebody externally was to inspect your planner, inspect your Google Calendar, if somebody externally was to look at your credit card statement, would those things actually reflect your stated values and your priorities? I know I'm guilty of saying, yeah, one of my top priorities is health. And then you look at my calendar and they say, well, when did you invest in your health on your calendar, though? Or one of my top priorities is my marriage. Well, the question is, when I look at the credit card, where on your credit card is signals and signs that you've invested in your marriage. And so some of our values here at Think Media, one is family. And this is true for so many of our team members. And so taking a week off, again, in addition to federal holidays and weekends and everything else, like this is just a shut the company down, extra week. We're going to shut it down even more around the holidays, give a couple extra days in addition to the federal holidays that are off, like for sure. But this is like a full, in addition to everything else, amounting to a little over 6 weeks total. And our goal is to see how much we can increase that. Even as a side note, I was talking to somebody who works at a company with unlimited vacation. And I've heard that actually kind of backfires and isn't as cool as it sounds. Because I said, that's super cool. So how much vacation you get to take? And he goes, probably not even 2 weeks. And it was like, because of the pressure and because of like the responsibility of his job and because of the company culture, it's like, yeah, you get unlimited vacation, but do people use it? Do you get fired if you use it? Sometimes it actually can create confusion. So I don't know what it's like in your job, but we are doing our best to really build a company that's built to last. And so if we're going to value family, that's what we're saying this year is also like, we want you to have margin with your families, to have less stress, not like, hey, you get time off, but you don't get paid. Like you also get paid. So that's the people that work here. And I've learned that no amount of money or success can take the place of time spent with family. Marriage, the more you invest in your marriage, the more valuable it becomes. For us, we're excited because we're coming up with our 2.5-year-old. He'll be 3, and we'll have a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old about the time that we're doing this. I mean, I take that back. We won't, in about a month, they'll be that age. So that's what they're coming up on. But for the first time, we will actually both be leaving because we'll have the help and they're at a solid enough age that Sony and I will be able to go on like a proper, we've done a few little things, but we're going to go on like a proper 3-night at a spa on the waterfront full deal. And one of the things we're going to do during our week is go invest in our marriage. I'm doing my best to make my checkbook and my calendar reflect my values and my priorities. Of course, health, the biggest area I neglected in my 20s and early 30s was health. I'm super grateful that I've been on probably a couple years and really the last 6 months of investing in my health. I'm doing 100 push-ups a day challenge, just finished that in July. And so that means I did 3,100 push-ups in July, more because some days I snuck in a little bit more. I'm not trying to flex literally here on the podcast, but I'm just trying to actually say, yeah, my calendar and my actions are reflecting my priorities. And then faith. And, as we land the plane, we are calling this a Sabbath week, and we have different backgrounds and beliefs at our company. It's not like everyone's a Christian at the company, but a lot of us really value our faith. And, one of God's top 10, one of the 10 commandments is literally about taking a Sabbath, taking a day of rest. And what's kind of crazy is that it's in the same list as do not murder, do not commit adultery, do not steal. And a lot of us would probably agree. Yeah, there's some stuff you probably shouldn't do. I mean, yeah, you might say I'm a good person too. Like I don't murder anybody. I don't, I'm not cheating. I'm not stealing anything. What's so wild though, is that in that same list of the 10 commandments is like, keep the Sabbath holy. And, God's commands are actually for our benefit. They're not to remove our fun. They're for our benefit. So it really shows that I think in culture, we have lost the importance and power of this idea of taking rest. And in Exodus, it talks about like observe the Sabbath day, keep it holy. 6 days, do your ordinary work. And on the 7th day, make it a day of rest dedicated to the Lord your God. And no one in your household should do any work. That includes you, your sons and daughters. I'm going to make my boys still work. Just kidding. They're too young. I'm kind of kidding. That includes you, your sons and daughters, your male and your female servants. Now, we don't have any servants, your livestock, your foreigners living among you. And of course, this is Old Testament language. But this is one of the faith moves that we're doing. We're trying to say, like, we don't want to, just as the CEO and founder, my wife and co-founder of Think Media, Sonia and I, we've got a cool life. We're trying to build a company that is a sustainable pace. And especially in honoring this scripture, we wanted to give our company a week off and everybody, kids, livestock, pets, like the whole deal, and ultimately have that rest. And it says that this is why the Lord blessed the Sabbath day, because for 6 days, the Lord made the heaven and the earth and sea and everything in them. But on the 7th day, he rested. Now, this is a common practice already for us. What is this talking about? 1 day a week, and typically Sundays for us, because we're not in any kind of ministry, like actively, in the sense of we're able to actually go to church, kind of relax, take a nap, really focus on our family. So honoring the Sabbath is already something Sonia and I are doing our best at. But there was also verses in the book that talk about and customs of sometimes having weeks off of celebration, or even having a whole year off of letting the land rest. Like there's a reason when they want harvest fields to be most productive, they take off planting for 1 year to let the soil regain its energy and gain its strength. I wish that illustration was better prepared, but you could look that up at another time. So even this principle that God wove into the universe, that, man, God's all about work. It's a blessing, all about productivity, all about impact, all about be fruitful and multiply, all about build something, all about let's go, all advance the go of the gospel. Like, so that's all this is not in contradiction to that. But if we want to be the most fruitful and the most productive, there's actually something supernaturally powerful about the Sabbath. And so this is a bold move on our 7th year of our company to even go above and beyond with a little extra rest. I also hope this becomes more of our culture. And, later on, this isn't a fully religious thing. That might sound funny. I know we have different backgrounds and all kinds of different people here that think media, whatever you believe. I'm super grateful you're here, or whatever your background is. But I think there's principles to learn here, because for some people, they keep this at they have like guilt or shame, or there's like a real religious duty to keeping the Sabbath. In the New Testament and under the New Covenant, Jesus really said, the Sabbath is made for man. Man wasn't made for the Sabbath. Like, we're not here to serve some religious festival. God made the Sabbath to serve man, to actually be a part of our rhythms and our cadences, that we could ultimately live our best life, have the most sustainable pace, have healthy families, healthy mental health, healthy physical health. I'm trying to learn this. I don't want this to sound preachy at all. I'm trying to actually implement these things, seeing how truly powerful they are, especially as I mature and come up on my 40th birthday this year. And so this is an act of faith for us. It's an act of worship. It also reminds me that I don't worship work, I worship God. And it's also a time of reflection and celebration of the goodness of God. And so a time to slow down a little bit, look back. What have we accomplished? Look at how far we've come. God, you've been so good to us at Think Media and our team. And thank you for this community and this Think Media podcast family and all this different stuff that's been built. And so to have a little time with family, naps, I'm going to take a lot of naps, rest and some relaxation, but also time to reflect and celebrate the goodness of God. And so passing the question off to you, a couple of things for application. Does your checkbook and does your calendar reflect your priorities? Second question, how can you create better patterns and routines, even if you're in a sacrifice season? And what resources, when resources are scarce and money is scarce, could you still schedule some time or be intentional about some time about investing in rest and recovery? If there's one lesson that I look back, I would have preferred to have gone a little bit slower or been a little bit more intentional over the last decade, specifically about health and about rest and recovery, even if it meant I wasn't quite as far as I was right now. Because as I'm growing, I'm like learning life is a marathon, business is a marathon, YouTube is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And I think in sprinting, the way even it's affected my body and how it's broke down a little bit, I'm learning, okay, elite athletes, that was not an elite move. Amateur athletes push it too hard. Elite athletes don't just train well and work hard. They have a quality of rest and recovery that's at another level. And we hope to continue to do that here at Think Media. So I appreciate you and didn't mean to clickbait you with the title, but we're not uploading for 10 days. We're pretty much uploading every day right now on both channels because of YouTube Shorts and because of all that kind of stuff. And so ultimately, we'll see you soon. It's not even that long, but it is a big a move of faith for us. Those are the 4 reasons why we're doing that. And I can't wait to, of course, connect with you soon on the next episode of the Think Media podcast. coming back to you, I believe, on like August 15th. It drops again, and then the shorts and the videos start back up. And in the meantime, keep crushing it, keep smashing it, and check out some past episodes of the Think Media podcast. I know that one of the things I will definitely do during my week off is invest in one of my values, which is learning and education. There's books I need to catch up on, and there's things I want to catch up on. And some of those might be a little more kind of just personal development, scripture or Bible study, but some just kind of books that I enjoy and that are refreshing. And a lot of that has to do with because I love what I do. And so this is a chance for you to perhaps check out some past videos in our library, rate and review the podcast. And also, if you are watching the YouTube version of this, I would love your feedback, any thoughts on taking a Sabbath week, any thoughts on what it is we're doing. I love your feedback, and I can't wait to connect with you soon when we are back after the break for the Think Media podcast.